Hi everyone, it's Alex from Risk Academy. And another interesting question I received after the webinar we did with Norman Marks and Tim Leach was the question about the confusion about positive risk. What is it and how to manage it? And I wanted to spend some time talking about this because I feel it's very important. It's actually quite a common question that people ask me. And the answer is very simple. If you are, and I'm sorry, I do not want to be rude. The answer is really that simple. If you're asking a question about positive risk, it's a pretty good sign that you don't understand the very definition of risk. Equally, if you're asking about risk and opportunities, how does that interrelate to one another, it's a guaranteed sign you actually don't understand the very nature of the definition of risk as per ISO 31000. Now, clearly, I'm a big fan of ISO 31000, been since the 4360 days in Australia, and I think the definition provided there for risk, which is effect of uncertainty on objectives, makes total sense to me, because this is what risk is. Risk is any effect uncertainty may have on an objective. An objective may be make a decision or achieve some sort of target, whatever the objective may be. Save costs, improve, protect reputation. It could be literally anything. Now, the standard does not differentiate between positive and negative risk. It's any uncertainty is of interest. And this is what the nature of risk management job should be. As a risk manager, any effect of uncertainty should be of interest to us when we're trying to communicate to our decision makers, our senior leaders. In fact, if we were for a second to stop using absolutely flawed, ridiculous qualitative risk assessment tools like ranking risks in terms of likelihood and consequence and coming up with a heat map or a risk matrix, if we drop that, because that is just rubbish, if you still don't understand why that's rubbish, read the research that it's in one of my posts and in the blog. There are two blog pieces that I'll reference underneath this video that go into a lot of research why heat maps are not just inaccurate, they're fundamentally flawed, and in fact they're probably deceitful to the decision makers, so they have the opposite effect. They make it much worse than not using them at all. And another interesting research on how people perceive probabilities, likelihoods, and so on, and how unreliable the expert opinions are. So anyway, sorry for that deviation. If we just drop all the ridiculous consulting created rubbish tools that have nothing to do with proper theory and science behind risk management, and actually use any of the actual scientific proper tools, and they're at least, these are the most basic: decision trees, sensitivity analysis, scenario analysis, Monte Carlo simulations. Those are the most basic tools that every single risk manager should be extremely familiar with and should be using every single day. If you use any of them, they do not differentiate between positive and negative risk. In fact, they show the whole broad range of scenarios simultaneously, highlighting. That's, for example, why I'm a big fan of Monte Carlo simulations. With all the limitations that this technique has, I'm a big fan because it shows the full distribution of potential outcomes. It shows that there are multiple scenarios that may happen, because that's what life is. We actually don't know what the future holds, but we know that there may be a whole range of potential futures depending on how different little factors work out in the decision. So all of those proper risk management tools actually show you the full breadth of potential outcomes. They show you, well, there are positive scenarios, there are negative scenarios, there are neutral scenarios. It shows you all of that simultaneously. So I beg you, study proper risk management tools and stop asking silly questions about positive risks or opportunities. Probably the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen is creating a heat map for threats and a separate heat map for opportunities, and then different color coding and putting it all together. That is without a doubt the dumbest thing you can possibly do, because that's such a weird human behavior to come up with something that has no mathematical significance whatsoever, instead of just learning how to do proper, statistical analysis and proper decision theory. So anyway, don't do it. Learn how to use proper tools, and all of those questions will disappear automatically. I'm interested in hearing your thoughts. I'm sorry, I know this is a bit controversial, but anyway, if you've been watching my videos, you know sometimes I like to have fun. So thank you, goodbye, write your thoughts underneath this video and subscribe to the Risk Academy channel on YouTube.